Hey, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about playing position and posture. So every instrument that we play, we have to be careful of our posture. They say you want to bring the instrument to you. You don't want to bring yourself to the instrument, which is pretty difficult if you play something like the piano, right? But still, even still, we would like to kind of keep that idea in mind. Same thing with the guitar. I don't want to have the guitar some weird place and I have to really reach in an uncomfortable way to get it. I want to bring it towards me where I can really relax. So staying relaxed as we play music is very important, especially as we get more and more advanced. If we don't do this and we have a lot of physical tension, we'll hit certain walls with tempo and difficult passages that we just won't be able to execute ever unless we start embracing these concepts. So very foundational concept and very important regardless of your level of playing. You want to be thinking about this stuff. So guitar is a little bit tricky to bring to yourself. It's a little bit bulky, and everything that I tell you today is going to need to be taken with a grain of salt because all of our bodies are different. This is going to work a little bit differently for you than it does for me or the next person watching this video. So we're all going to need to adapt this a little bit to fit our individual needs. But generally, there are some things we can all do. So one thing that a lot of beginners do is they turn the guitar this way to see their hands. They end up like flipping it on its side. And that sort of makes sense because then now my posture is good, right? And I can see what I'm doing. But that's bad because then my technique is totally different. Now instead of my fingers hitting the fretboard the way they're supposed to, they're hitting it from a completely different angle. My wrist has to get really overextended. I don't know if you can see that. My wrist is really kind of crooked like that when I get up here. So we don't want to do that. So with our posture in the beginning, if we need to see our fingers, it's actually okay to lean forward a little bit and look at the guitar. Now this does put us in a bit of a bad posture position, so we don't want to stay like that. We want to kind of check out what we need to, come back up here, do it without looking, okay? What you don't want to do is go, because now all my technique is off and we're practicing basically wrong, okay? So you want your spine to be basically nice and straight. We talk about these things, points of alignment a lot, which means how you're stacked over yourself. So the skeleton's job is to support the weight of your body, and the muscle's job is to move the skeleton around. So if I'm slanted a little bit, it might not really feel that weird to me, but my muscles are engaged. They have to hold the skeleton up, and therefore I can never really relax. But if I have all these points of alignment going and I feel like my spine and all my weight is stacked over each other, then I can really start to notice subtle things in my shoulders relaxing a bit. So that's really what we want to go for. We want to be nice and relaxed, and I like to take the right arm and kind of gently put it right about this part of the guitar is where I like it. Again, your arm length might be different than mine. Your guitar shape might be different than mine. So find a thing that's comfortable for you. Okay, but the arm can gently rest on it, and that actually pushes the guitar this way a little bit, and that actually helps me when I squeeze. My left hand won't have to squeeze as hard because I have a little bit of weight going on. So that's a concept we'll definitely talk about when we discuss bar chords as well. But so we're just gonna gently rest this hand here. We want this hand over here. Now, the angle of our wrist is very important. We don't want to develop carpal tunnel syndrome from overusing our wrists. That's a real issue that musicians face. This posture is very important into preventing that. So our wrist can bend these ways, right? But we kind of want to leave it mostly straight. Now if I put my arm down and hang it by the side, it will go this way a little bit. So I think going this way is okay. I would aim for a straighter wrist, but if it goes sort of inward, I think that's okay. Now, it never goes this way on its own. If you dangle your hand to your side, and you'll realize you have to kind of force it to go this way. It's not going to do that. If anything, it'll be straighter, kind of, going in towards you, not away from you. And when I do this, I can feel tightness in my hand. So just try that with me. Go this way and see if you can notice the veins tighten up a little bit. So that's the main thing we want to avoid. And I see a lot of people doing that. They'll have their thumb up here and their wrist over here. So we're going to talk about left hand and the proper mechanics for that. But our posture helps set that up, okay? So we want our shoulder to be nice and relaxed and our elbow to be nice and low to come up to the guitar. And my wrist is fairly straight. Might have to go in this way a tiny bit to kind of do the things I need to do, but for the most part, it's nice and straight, okay? And that's important. I don't want to have my wrist in this position, okay? Now when I do that, I can feel my shoulders like all the way up to my ear, so that feels uncomfortable for me. So I'm going to relax that, bring the instrument to myself, and there we go, okay? So Just some things to think about. And again, the way my body works and looks might be different from yours, and the way your body and your guitar looks. So, you'll have to do quite a bit of experimentation. And this is the type of thing that I still experiment with after 20 years of playing guitar. So, it's just something that we'll always have to be striving to work on and refine for ourselves. But quick checklist you can go by is whether or not you're holding a lot of tension. Okay, if your shoulders can be relaxed and kind of low, that's good. If you can have your wrist straight, that's good. Arm nice and easy resting on this part of the guitar, great. Guitar should be this direction. Remember, we don't want to tilt it this way so we can see better. That totally changes my wrist and makes it go too far inward like that. So we don't want that. We can change the direction that we put this up. So we kind of want it maybe parallel, maybe this way. Sometimes you'll see Johnny Cash kind of points down that way because he's the man. But for us normal human beings, we're not that cool. So we don't usually want to do that. We want to go with either an even angle or maybe a little bit like this. And that really depends on preference too. I find the more vertical I make it, the easier time I have of getting that nice straight wrist here. But the more horizontal I have it, the easier I have a time with my flat pick being very precise, playing very even against the strings. So lots of different schools of thought that are going to depend on whether or not you use a pick, what style you play, all things that you'll have to decide for yourself. But generally, somewhere around here that feels good for you, not pointed at the floor or anything, okay? All right, well, those are some thoughts on posture. We also have a couple ways to help us get better posture using guitar straps and guitar supports. Please join me in the next lesson and we'll check out how some of those work.